Okay, in today's review we are going to discuss large-scale dictionary construction via pivot-based statistical machine translation with significance pruning and neural network features. This paper was contributed by Kyoto University and presented at the 29th Pacific Asia Conference on Language Information and Computation just recently. The introduction. So in pivot-based machine translation, if there is a parallel corpus from a source language to an intermediate language that we call pivot, and from this intermediate language to another target language, then through this pivot-based translation, we can construct source-target translation model for translation or for making dictionaries. So the aim of this research is to construct a large-scale Japanese-Chinese scientific dictionary. And the data size they had for this research from Japanese to English and from English to Chinese is as shown. The method is a combination of statistical machine translation pivoting, pruning, and Chinese character features. And it was reported that this method resulted in high-quality, large-scale dictionary with 3.6 million Japanese-Chinese terms. If we pass to the overview of this research, these are the data sources, Japanese English and Chinese English, and these are the corpora, Japanese, a small corpora from Japanese to Chinese, and two large corpora from source to pivot and from pivot to target. So this is a direct phrase table construction from the source to the target language, and this is these phrase tables are formed from the source to the pivot, and here from the pivot to the target language. And by doing the pivot-based phrase construction, they constructed a phrase table from the source to the target. Both this phrase table and this phrase table as then processed by an SMT Moses to give this dictionary, Japanese Chinese dictionary. In the process, common Chinese characters were also used as a feature. This is the overview of the research. If we pass to the details, first, the pivot phrase table generation. Here they used phrase table triangulation method, whereby via an intermediate shared pivot, the phrase table from the source to the target, and from the source to the pivot, and from the pivot to the target tables are formed. And the inverse phrase table probabilities and the lexical weights are calculated by these formulas shown. They are pretty much similar. In this lexical weights, the A1 refers to the alignment between the source and the pivot, and A2 the alignment between the pivot and the target, and A is the final alignment between the source and target language. So for pruning or removing noisy phrase tables, they selected a number manually, which is not statistically motivated, but they report that this value gave practical results. So one of the methods used in this research is significance pruning for pivoting. So when phrase tables are generated, they can also form bad translations, which are noisy, and then pruning is required to remove these or to clean these bad translations. So here they used statistical significance pruning, which eliminates a large amount of noise before the actual pivoting is done. The value that they used is the p-value or significance value as a threshold. This threshold was referred from a previous research. So if the phrase table value exceeds this threshold, it is retained. But there are some cases where all the phrase table entries fall below this threshold. In that case, maybe from the source or from the target size, there could be out of vocabulary problem. So in order to avoid this kind of problem, they selected the top 5 phrase pairs and kept them as translation pairs in case this happens. The other feature is Chinese character features. So there are some common Japanese and Chinese characters, and these are used in the translation phase. So for each phrase pair, they calculated the Chinese character ratio and the common Chinese character ratio as shown in these formulas. After the translation is done, they have a dictionary, but the translation pairs might be not in the correct priority or in the correct order. So in order to formulate a correct pair or dictionary, they had to re-rank the translation candidates. So for re-ranking the translation candidates, they used the generated dictionary and also a source target corpus. By using these data sources and neural network re-ranker, they were able to figure out or to modify the list of candidates such that the highest, the most correct translation would be ordered first. So neural networks are effective in regulating noise. That's why they used neural networks, and they use it for re-ranking matrices. They used character level blue score and word level blue score. So this is an extract or a part of the procedure for re-ranking. So for each input term in the test set, they obtain the translation, the neural translation scores, and it is added as a feature. And linear combination is performed to get a model score. And using this model score, they sort the n-best list from the test set. They also tried SVM-based classification for ranking and using these similar procedures. But the result was the result of the neural network ranking procedure was better than the SVM results. So for the experiments, they had a bilingual dictionary, which is the dictionary that's formed or generated, and a parallel corpora. And the statistics of these resources is as shown here. So most of the domain in the source is medicine and science, and they are almost to formulate a dictionary for scientific purpose. So for the evaluation, the reference translations in the Japanese-Chinese sentences was a dictionary from a biology context containing this much number of pairs, and the Japanese-Chinese, another Japanese-Chinese resource from science dictionary containing 4,075 pairs. So half of the data was used for tuning and half of it was used for testing. Before the pruning phase, they used segmentation by using previous research implementations, and the decoder or the translation, the translator was Moses, and the training was done by 5-gram language model using SRI language modeling toolkit. For the baseline, they had 3 different setups: direct, pivot, and a combination of these two methods. So for the direct one, Japanese source to target data was used for training, and for the pivoting one, source to pivot, pivot to target data was used, and the combination uses both these models with the multiple decoding paths method from the models toolkit. This was the baseline setup, and then they added significance pruning method into this baseline. So for direct, they selected the last one, which gave better results. So direct and pivot method, and then the pruning is done for only the source language in the first case. In the second case, the pruning is done for the target phrase table, and in the third case for both the source and the target cases. Then they found out that the pruning, when the pruning was done for the target language, it gave better results. So for this setup, they added the Chinese character feature, and this was found out to be the best setting. So for re-ranking and best list, they used the generated Japanese-Chinese dictionary and a corpus, Japanese-Chinese corpus. So the best setting with character blue, using character blue to re-rank the n-best list, and another one is using word blue score to re-rank the n-best list, and the third one is using SVM classifier to make the re-rank. And then similar experiments were done by adding the out of vocabulary substitution strategy to this setup. Their evaluation is as shown in this table. So this is the best setting. This is the best setting. When compared to the baseline and to the other results, the results here are better than the others. And this is when they closely saw the data, the statistics of the size. In here, for the target, we don't, the pruning done is there was not much pruning done, because here is the data without pruning, 24,228, and this is a similar value. So that's why we see a higher result when this pruning, when the pruning is done for the target language and the Chinese character features are added. So there were two types of evaluations done. One is the manual evaluations. So they evaluated the top first translation to be as correct or incorrect by human evaluations. And 75% of them were found to be correct translations, those who were categorized as incorrect by automatic translations. So the actual one best accuracy is about 90%. 90% of the first ranked translations were correct. Evaluating the large-scale dictionary, 3.6 million entries, for Japanese Chinese bilingual speakers evaluated 100 randomly selected term pairs. And the results indicate that the first best accuracy is about 90%, which is similar to the manual evaluation results. So they concluded that the manual evaluation and the automatic evaluation results were similar. So as conclusion, the research aim was to construct a scientific Japanese-Chinese dictionary, and the method that they used was pivot-based statistical machine translation with significance pruning and Chinese character features, and also bilingual neural network language model. And then they re-ranked the results of the translation candidates in order to find out the one best translation candidate. The result was reported as high quality dictionary because 90% of the terms were correctly translated. And for the future, they proposed doing iterative re-rank process in order to come up with more better neural bilingual language model, so that it would improve the quality of the translation. Thank you very much.